I somehow made my Stormclaw build even stronger. I've made a few minor tweaks as well as some major changes to the Paragon boards. I'll detail all the changes, but first, here's some gameplay of me clearing a tier 56 Nightmare Dungeon. First up, let's look at the skill tree. For our basic skills, we're still maxing Claw and Storm Strike, and we'll still hit 2 additional targets, as well as give Claw a 10% chance to attack twice. Under our core skills, we're putting 3 points into Predatory Instinct for the crit, and 1 point into movement speed. For our defensive skills, we're taking Bulwark, and gaining some additional Fortify. We're taking Blood Howl, and finishing off with some attack speed. One of the biggest changes between the previous version of the build and this one, is that we're making Debilitating Roar into a werewolf ability. This is not only an extremely strong defensive ability, but we're also gaining Fortify every time we cast it. This helps us maintain our bonuses from Fortify. We're still taking 1 point in Ancestral Fortitude, and 3 points into Vigilance. We'll completely skip the companion tree as usual, and under our Wrath skills, we're still grabbing Hurricane, and the damage reduction from Savage Hurricane. I moved some of these passives around. We're doing 3 points into Elemental Exposure to keep our uptime of Vulnerable, 1 point into Endless Tempest, and 3 points into Bad Omen. We also want 1 point into Neurotoxin, 3 points into Envenom, and 3 points into Toxic Claws. For our ultimate, we're taking Grizzly Rage, and both additional points. We're also taking 3 points of Defiance. For our Keystone passive, we're taking Lupin Ferocity. I did a complete overhaul on the Paragon boards. The main reason was to make sure that we hit all of our important bonuses on our rare nodes. As you can see, I'm just short of both of these, but I still have multiple points to put in. At the start, we're going to take a right, and we're going to grab ourselves Prime. We'll continue up, and we'll get our Glyph socket, and place Werewolf. If you don't have many Paragon points yet, you're going to want to make sure that you always have Exploit on your board with the bonus. From here, we're moving up and getting Impel. Then our first board is Thunderstruck. On Thunderstruck, we're getting the Glyph socket, and slotting Fang and Claw. Mine's not leveled up yet, but once this is max, we'll be hitting all of these blue nodes. Fang and Claw also increases the damage that enemies take from us, which is more important than increasing how much damage we deal to enemies. From here, we go up and left, and we get Deluge, then Thunderstruck, then Tempest. As we move right, we're going to place the Inner Beast board, and start by grabbing Nimble, then Shapeshifter, and our Glyph socket. This is where you want to keep Exploit once you get to this point. From here, we're moving up and right, and we're going to grab Tenacity on our way to Havoc. Now the order we place our boards is important because that's what determines the requirement for our bonuses on our rare nodes. So you can come up here and grab Heightened Malice early if you want, but keep in mind that you'll have to reconfigure your boards later to make sure you're not giving yourself increased requirements on the rare nodes. So the board after Inner Beast is supposed to be Lust for Carnage. First thing we'll grab here is Wild's Call, followed by our Glyph socket, where we're placing Territorial. We'll also be grabbing Feral, then moving up and grabbing Ferocity. From here we go up, and we get Superiority on the Constricting Tendrils board. I'm not level 100 yet, but I plan to get Constricting Tendrils very soon. Finally, if you haven't placed it already, you're going to want to put Heightened Malice here, and make sure that Constricting Tendrils and Heightened Malice are your final boards, because we don't really take rare nodes in these areas. If you've made sure to hit the minimum requirements for the bonuses on each of your Glyph sockets, then your stats should be just about where they need to be in order to hit all of your bonuses. The one exception will be up here on our Constricting Tendrils board, but even that bonus can potentially be hit. After you get all the important stuff, you can go back and grab additional stats in order to improve any of your glyphs, grab any important magic nodes in the area, and if you have any points available, you can grab something like Determination. There are plenty of good magic nodes nearby that you can use to fill out your board. Keep in mind that since we don't use Spirit, we actually benefit more from Strength than we do from Intelligence on our board. For Spirit Boons, we're still using Wariness, Swooping Attacks, Calamity, Calm Before the Storm, and Masochistic. For our gear, we're going to use Tempest Roar, Greatstaff of the Crone, Mad Wolf's Glee, or a very good chest piece with damage reduction, and the aspect that gives us plus 2 points to all our skills for Hurricane. For gloves, we're going to use Overcharge, and you should imprint this from the Codex. For some reason, the Codex gives a much higher damage roll. For our pants, I'm no longer recommending Temerity. We're going to look for a legendary that has a lot of damage reduction, and we're using Disobedience as the aspect. For our boots, we're turning our Debilitating Roar into a werewolf skill, and you're going to want movement speed, armor while in werewolf form, all stats, and I prefer the passive that gives movement speed after dashing, or additional dashes. For our amulet, we're looking for movement speed, high roll damage reduction, cooldown reduction, pluses to important skills, or high damage rolls. We also want to use our rapid aspect on the amulet so that we get the 50% bonus. On our rings, we want critical damage, vulnerable damage, lucky hit chance, and the final stats can be critical strike chance, damage to close enemies, damage to poisoned enemies, or any other damage stat that works with our build. We're also imprinting Rampaging Werebeast and the Dire Wolves aspect. If you guys like my content, don't forget to subscribe. I'm also live on my Twitch almost every day, and I'd love to see you there.